Hello and welcome back to Overseas Auto Reviews. Here we have this 2021 Chevrolet C8 Corvette brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Seattle. I'm taking a look at their pre-owned collection, and this is something I just had to jump on because there really aren't any available today. Without further ado, let's break this vehicle down and complete a review. For the 8th generation of the Corvette, also known as the C8, there is an engine configuration change which has caused a lot of controversy behind the 2020 and 2021 model years. Now, in the C7 and prior generations, the engine was a front mid-engine configuration, meaning that the engine sat behind the front axle, giving the vehicle better handling. Now, for this vehicle, it's on the behind, but it's still in front of the rear axle, making it a rear mid-engine design. Now, since there is no engine up front, we do have a frunk, which is a front trunk. You have lots of nice and beautiful body lines. I think this makes it a very distinct vehicle from the front view. These headlights also mimic the design, coming into a sharp point where the Corvette logo sits right there. We also have lots of black accents around the grille. We have functional air vents because this does power a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8. This vehicle color is torch red. I think it looks really good. If I were gonna buy my own C8 Corvette and it had to be red, I'd go with the red mist metallic tint coat. It is a $1,000 option, but I think it's well worth it because it does bring out the body lines quite a bit. Now, we also have a little front splitter. It's made of plastic, and the prior owner of this vehicle did curve it, even though this vehicle has a front end lifts. Now, this vehicle does have the Z51 performance package, which does give us adaptive suspension, and with that adaptive suspension we do get a front end lift, which lifts the front end of the vehicle to give us more clearance for curbs and also very steep driveways. Now, this really wouldn't be a Overseas Auto Reviews video without me doing a trunk test, but with this vehicle I get to do two. There won't be complete trunk tests though, because these trunks are very small. Let's go over the amenities in here first. We have 3 baskets. One is a net basket, and one is made of fabric with Velcro to hide away some things that you don't want to put in the main center. We also have a cigarette lighting port and a additional button to let people out of the trunk if you have somehow managed to trap someone in here. You also have your windshield fluid container over here to fill your windshield fluid, and there is a little vent over here. Let's get on with that trunk test. Yeah, that's about it. Trunk test failed. I absolutely love the front end design on the C8 Corvette, and I believe the front fenders mimic the same design. They're wide enough so that the car isn't too wide to park or drive anywhere, and it's not too narrow where the front end of the car just looks gimpish. With a wide car does come wide wheels, and here we have exactly that, 19 inches by 245 millimeter width. This is a staggered setup, so in the rear you get 305 millimeter width tires around a 20-inch diameter wheel. Same rim though. You have these beautiful aluminum wheels. They are two-toned, so nice and silver in the face, and in between you have the spokes, which are a nice metallic gray. We also have red brake calipers because we have the Z51 performance package, which does give us upgraded high performance brakes, along with other goodies I'll show you in a bit. Here we are at the side of the C8 Vet, and it is probably my favorite part, aside from the rear. I believe the silhouette of the vehicle is just absolutely gorgeous, and I also believe that camera quality does not capture the beauty of the C8 Vet. I think it just looks too high off the ground in pictures, but in real life this thing just looks absolutely sleek. This is also where the C8 got almost all of its hate. Purists of the Corvette say that they've ruined decades of culture on the vehicle with the engine being in the front and moving it to the rear, but I actually quite like it. I also think that it improves handling dynamics. And the overall design of the vehicle looks like a C7 Corvette went to the mountains with a Ferrari 458, and all of a sudden this thing just popped out. I also like the wing mirrors and how far they stick out. They also give you a nice view over these really wide rear fender arches. Now, considering the fact that this vehicle drinks a lot of fuel, I also think that the gas cap can is really small, but that does not take away from the design. We also have these really nice, almost grayish looking door sills, and you do have an electronic door opening handle. You just click your hand into the handle and pull it out like this. Frameless windows, of course, because this is a high performance vehicle. Now, since this is a Corvette coupe, we also do get the removable roof. It's a process, 2 pins in the front you just pull, and then the 3rd latch in the rear. Then you have to take this roof off, and you can actually store it in the trunk, which I'll show you in a bit. Overall, the side view on the Corvette is very beautiful, as it always has been for the crazy amount of decades this vehicle has been around. Now the rear end on the C8 Corvette is probably the most resembling part to the C7, and that is through these rear taillights that have the same design that the C7 did, except these have been modernized just a bit, and I think they look phenomenal. These are really bright at night, and they give it a really nice presence in the dark. And below these we have these extraction vents to extract heat from the engine, which is placed right over here. I'll show you that in just a bit. We also have the black Corvette badging with the black Stingray badge over here as well. The lower diffuser is very good. This also has extraction vents to allow heat to escape from the engine compartment. And we also have quad square tip exhaust, which I absolutely love. I think it really ties in well with the rear end design on the Corvette. And the major piece is this rear spoiler as well. This is actually the lower one. You can actually option a bigger spoiler with your Corvette. I think this one suits it a lot better though. I'm not a fan of the high profile rear spoiler. Let's get into that engine compartment and let's see how well of a trunk test I can do with the second trunk as well. Now, considering the fact that this is a rear mid-engine vehicle, I'd say that trunk space in the rear really isn't too bad. You could probably fit a really small and skinny golf bag in here, possibly a couple backpacks, and maybe 2 carry-ons if they are smaller in diameter. You also have cargo nets in here, which do keep everything in place. I like that because this car does have a lot of horsepower and torque for its weight. Overall, the contouring on the bottom do go hand in hand because the exhaust needs to be routed through this area. I think based on that, it's a really good size. Trunk test time. If I was probably in a 5-year-old body, I might be able to fit in here. But based on my size right now, it would be a trunk test fail. Let's get on to the engine. Here we have the beloved Corvette 6.2 liter naturally aspirated direct injection V8 motor. Now this motor does produce 495 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque paired to a rear-wheel drive drivetrain and 8-speed automatic dual-clutch transmission. Now with all of that, the vehicle gets to 60 in just 2.9 seconds. That's phenomenal for a rear-wheel drive vehicle with only 500 horsepower. C8 Corvette also has 2 rear cameras. One's a backup camera and then one is the other rear end camera. That is for your track video as well as parking, and I think it's a great feature. I'm going to start off with the interior view on the C8 Corvette with the overall door panel and this overall side. I do like the way that the complete door panel is wrapped in soft touch leather. It does feel very good, very premium, has white stitching. Here we have the actual door opening handle, which is turned into a button, along with the lock and unlock switches. We also have the front trunk opening button and the rear trunk opening button. We have the Bose high performance sound system in here. I think it sounds really good, it handles bass and treble very well. You also have 3 memory settings, not that you're going to need them anyways. And you also have the 2 mirror switches, the mirror fold-in button and your mirror adjustment switches right over here. Now I have driven a 2019 Corvette Grand Sport, and I've got to say the seating position feels really similar. I'm very low to the ground. I have a very good position of the wheels, and my side and front view are really good. Can't say the same for the rear view because there is, well, an engine back there, but Chevrolet has thought of that and they've incorporated a screen within your rear view mirror to provide extra visibility, and those cameras that I mentioned earlier also help with that. I'll show you those right now. Alright, here we are in the interior. Here is that camera's rear view system, and I believe it is really nice. You can just change it and it won't move. You have the best view of the rear, and in comparison to what the actual view looks like, you can see that there is barely any sort of rear view. So that's why I like to keep it with the camera setting on. Above this we have the attention buttons, the SOS button, emergency hazard button, and you have the dome light off button. You also have the passenger airbag warnings over there. You have a Homelink system, which allows you to configure this vehicle to your garage. Press the button, the garage door opens and closes. Underneath this, we have the latch to remove the hood. There's 2 of them right there, and the third release is right over here. There is a storage space in the trunk for these. Now we have the steering wheel, which I like. Again, this does have a really nice and squared off look. A lot of people dislike this, but I actually quite like it. The steering feel is really nice. It's nice and thick, not the Audi RS type thick, which I do like quite a bit, but it is nice and thick anyways. Paddle shifters do feel really good. You could flip it into manual mode through here. Then we have this center display system. Right now the vehicle is in its sport setting. Once you click it left, the vehicle will go into comfort. The exhaust does tone down a bit since it is valved. You have all your views right over here. You can change them with this button. You have your 0 to 60 performance timer. You also have your audio options. You have your maintenance, which shows you your oil and fluid life. You also have the other options, which you can control through this little dial on here. The left side is this Z button. Because of the Z71, it will take you directly into sport mode. I prefer to use the paddle just because it feels nice, but there is more of a delay if you do this way as opposed to this way. And then the most notable thing about the C8 Corvette is the climate control settings being right over here. Here are your driver's side settings and your passenger side settings right over here. I like the way they've integrated it. You don't have to finick with the infotainment system, which is built very well, but it is nice to have tactile buttons. The vehicle also has heated and cooled seats. Here is the drive mode select system: park, reverse, neutral, drive. And you have manual mode as well. I like to leave it in park. Here you have your traction control off button, your front lift button over here, and your front camera button over here. Let's go through these camera settings. You press this icon right over here. You have the front view camera. There are the two cameras which give you this option I showed you on the front bumper. Then you have the rear view camera. You also have the panoramic rear view camera, and then you have the magnifier for the front view. And you can also turn the rear tracking and front tracking view off. Going back to the front, you have Android and Apple CarPlay, along with Spotify, Pandora, and your PDR. Overall, I'd say it's a really well built system, and the interior on the vehicle does feel really nice and premium as well. Leather everywhere. You have really nice finishes. The vehicle does not creak anywhere like you do find in some vehicles. And overall, it does fix what the C7 missed out on. The C7 felt really outdated, and I did not like the steering wheel on the C7. C8 is really nice, infotainment is really nice, interior build quality is really nice. Now let's go for a drive. The C8 Corvette does also come with a heads-up display. It does not blink in real life. This is just because the frame rate on the camera is interfering with the actual display, but it can be controlled through these little buttons right over here. Right over here you can see that if you want to raise or lower the HUD, you can, and the information that it displays as well can be changed with a click of a button. I do like the speed and speed limit, but if you're on the track you can have it this way, just so you don't have to look down at your gauge. You also have a brightness setting to change the amount of brightness it has, and if you're driving at night, this can be really useful. Here we are driving the 2021 C8 Corvette. Giving it some gas right about now. Quick little and easy up to 60 acceleration. Really just a quarter throttle acceleration. No wheel spin, no hesitation. Very nice downshift as well. Suspension really isn't that stiff, and I quite like that about the C8 until you put it in sport mode. Steering, however, is really stiff no matter what. You do feel the weight of the vehicle. I think I like it because I like a nice weedy steering wheel with my thick ones as well. The car keeps itself very well planted in turns. The nose is very directive of where you're turning the steering wheel, and the rear end does not step out too much, especially during acceleration. Let's do a little standstill acceleration now and some other fun clips. And that is the complete review on the 2021 Chevrolet C8 Corvette. I believe that this is a phenomenal vehicle for the price you're paying. And the price is a major flaw with the C8 Corvette. That is that you can never get these at the MSRP. Now, originally Chevrolet released this as a vehicle to be an affordable mid-engine vehicle for the driver to enjoy. Now, considering the fact that it is rear mid-engine, it's still affordable based on what other vehicles are going for. For example, the McLaren 570S, which could compare somewhat well to this vehicle, is going for almost double the price of this car. Now, the original MSRP on the way that this vehicle, a 2LT, is spec'd is $80,625. Now, Mercedes-Benz of Seattle is selling this exact vehicle for $99,901. Now, if you do compare that to the other vehicles on the market that are going for $110,000, $120,000, this is a really, really good deal, and I advise you buy it because it is really fully loaded, except the fact that it's not a 3LT. That just gives you a bit more customizability within the packages. Overall, it drives really well, and really, I don't think that there's much competition for the vehicle. 110 grand vehicle, you have a mid-engine design, nothing beats it. Absolutely nothing beats it. That is all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe, and remember to keep on driving.